Hey guys, this is Heartland Hitman's Imperative. Today we're going to be looking at a stream, or a replay between Sumus Legio from Heartland Hitman and our Terran player Probably. This is a platinum level game. We're going to be analyzing from the Zerg's point of view to try to just see at the platinum level what some improvements we could make are. So let's begin. With Zerg vs. Terran, one of the key elements that you're going to be looking at is defending against early Reaper and early Hellion aggression. In this game we don't actually see it, but we'll see some of the preparations that Sumus Legio makes and some of the things he could do better were that to come, and also defending pushes. We'll see that this engineering bay is created by our Terran player to deny the taking of this location's base. It would take a very, very long time for a drone to whittle through about 800 health of engineering bay. We will, however, notice that he doesn't actually complete it. What this does is it just lets him cancel it for all the resources back before it's finished building as soon as you get lings. So there are really two ways to play against this. You can change your build order and take a pool first, or you can come down here and take this base. What this does is this lets you continue with your same build order, but from the Terran's point of view, it creates all of this distance that you have that you wouldn't otherwise have to defend, because he can come right through here and attack up your ramp, or he can just come here and attack your third, which would cripple your economy. So this play, very strong against Zerg. Currently, in the current metagame, the standard build right now is to go 15 hatch, 16 pool, 16 gas against Terran. And that's when you scout a 1 gas expansion, which we actually haven't scouted, but is very, very common. So with this pool, it's gone down. We should very soon see this gas go down, which we will not. But delaying this gas delays ling speed. Ling speed is very important. It's not going to be out for Reaper harass, but it will allow you to use lings to defend against Hellions. Lings with speed, or lings on creep, can surround and kill Hellions very cost efficiently. You will not lose many lings to Hellions when they don't have a proper attack path. And it's very, very hard to micro Hellions against speedrunners. So we do see that this gas is not being taken. Now as soon as this pops, we have some lings coming out to try to kill this. We have our drones transferring to our natural or our third, depending on what you want to call that. And we'll see our Terran player very shortly just cancel this engineering bay and not lose anything from it. Get our injects in. So now we've taken the gas, add workers to the gas. The first thing we should see is ling speed come out, and then hopefully, very quickly, we want to take a baneling nest. So here's ling speed, baneling nest coming soon. The reason you want this baneling nest and the reason you want the early gas is these kinds of pushes are very, very strong if the Zerg player does not have the proper defense, which we can see he does not really. We have 2 spines being created, and we have our spore. We'll probably lose this overlord and this overlord. Just a lot of problems that the Terran player can cause for us right here with this push. So we do have some lings from behind. We can get us around on this. Good work on not letting the Widow Mine take out too many lings, and we'll take this third base. Now, this is the correct response. Any kind of early pressure from Terran requires a lot from them. It requires them to take a little time out of building SCVs. It requires them to take a little time out of producing defense. So we can fairly comfortably send at least 1 ling over here to just scout and see, and we should be able to get it in no problem to see what kind of mining is going on at the natural. So he sees that there's no mining going on at the natural. So at this point, what he could do is leave 1 ling here in this area to block the taking of the expansion as soon as it drops, and then take all of the rest of his lings back. Now what this does is keeps these lings safe, because we can see he's already reasonably timed going to have tanks out in a small army, and this army, especially on this ramp with the limitations on area that the lings can cover, they can't surround, so this is going to be an ineffective trade if it ends up trading. So we'll see the Terran player push these lings out of his natural very shortly as soon as he takes this and recognizes he can't. So we see no units killed for our Terran, or of our Terrans, and a bunch for Sumus Legio. There's no queen here. And our creep spread isn't very good. One thing that can always be focused on in ZVT, very, very few people, even at professional play, do a good enough job of creep spreading. It's something that you can focus on. You know, ideally right now he would already have this creep spread done so that he could transfer queens between. He would have this pushed out a bit. And creep spread is not only important for surrounding Hellions, for using your lings, for making them go faster, it's also very, very important for vision, because each of these creep tumors gives him vision of the map. So even if he didn't have units nearby, he would have vision of this. And it's very, very important to keep your vision as good as you can, which is also why we can see that he's spread his overlords across the map. This is very good. There are a few key positions that he's missed. This is a big one, which we'll see affect him very shortly as this push comes through this channel here. And he's moving this overlord actually over here instead of here, which I disagree with. So we'll see that because he doesn't actually scout this, he doesn't see it until right now. So let's look at his defense. We see that, really honestly, his reactive defense wasn't started early enough, and he's been doing a good job of trying to play a greedy macro game, but you need to have better vision if you want to play this greedy, and, you know, try to take as many drones as he's been taking. We also see that some very, very important upgrades haven't either completed or been started. This is centrifugal hooks, our Baneling speed upgrade. Very important, especially when there's tanks in the composition for our Terran, to get those Banelings to the Marines. And we haven't seen melee attacks or ground carapace start, despite the fact that we haven't even transitioned past lings right now. As we can see, we have no tech structures. So this attack will be very, very strong. It'll kind of devastate this economy that we have here. And for our Terran, really even it out so that he's not working off of too much less than what we're working off of. So now we see these lings come around and they'll end up pretty good. But very, very late. So we'll see this counterattack come. And he's going to attempt what's called a Baneling bust. So he's going to use 8 Banelings to try to just do as much damage as he can. Now if we actually slow this down and look at it very quickly, we can see that these Banelings make good connections to begin with, and then they go bad as soon as they start hitting this. You never ever want your Banelings to hit this. So you see good connections on the Marines, and then you see Banelings hitting one Marine, one Marauder of this thing. And really, truly, this kind of a Baneling connection, it seems good, but really we lost a lot more than he did, as he didn't lose very much gas, which we have lost. So we see the 4th being taken, the 3rd being restarted, an idle drone. This defense is probably too much. Even your just passive units that you should be making should be enough to only need about 2 spine crawlers at any given base. And they should be at each base, so we could put one here, one here. You kind of want to make a triangle with your spines, 2 spines, 1 spore, and this is just for drop defense. So here, spine, spore, spine, just to make sure that if drops come in and our army isn't nearby, we can still at least hold off some of the units. So we see Vikings coming out. This is very common to take care of overlords. And really Sumus Legio doesn't have much to fight against this. Excuse me, I'm gonna turn the sound down. He doesn't really have much to deal with this, as he's still trying to play on Ling Baneling compositions. Right now, we should have been probably into our chosen tech path for about 4 or 5 minutes, if not 6. So we can see that he's going infestors. He should have started some of the infestors already. A fun timing is as soon as you start pathogen glands, time it out. 50 seconds later, start your production of infestors. Infestors take 30 seconds to build. They'll come out. They'll already have the pathogen glands upgrade, and it'll be fantastic. And you'll get them out as quickly as possible. So we see he's keeping good coverage of kind of where the Terran player is, that he's not at any of these corner bases, that he hasn't taken some base that we don't really know about. And we're starting to get this base. Now really, you only want enough drones to fully saturate 3 bases. Then, you should be trying to use these drones to saturate a 4th, your natural to saturate a 5th, your 3rd to saturate a 6th, and so on. So let's see how he reacts to this. A problem a lot of people have is letting these banelings hit buildings. You really don't want to do this. Most buildings don't cost gas, and your banelings do, and you want to preserve gas as much as possible. So we see what's called a doom drop, and this is because these are more than 2 full medevacs, with a fair majority of the army of Terran coming to our main. This is probably to snipe out our tech structures, to snipe our lair or hive, whichever we have, and to snipe these overlords. So, he's not reacting quite quickly enough. This is going to start to do a fair amount of damage. He does pull drones, which is good. And now he hits. Here's a problem, though. Notice that all these lings, all these banelings are great. They can clean this up. Were our Terran player to be microing his drop correctly, as soon as these banelings come in, he can just pick up in all of his medevacs, all of these units, and move them here. We have no units to hit air again, other than our queens, and really truly this drop hasn't been defended. It's been delayed but not defended. And we can see our banelings making mediocre connections. We can see he picks up a majority of these units and just ends up dropping them at our 3rd. So we have some defense here, but really again not enough. It wasn't enough. We're going to end up very, very behind on our units lost. And this has put the Terran player in a fair position. I like that we counterattacked. Killing this base was a very, very important thing. It put us much closer to our Terran friend. Just cleaning up some of the extra units. And we can see that with these drops, you have to keep in mind that once you've killed this drop, it has done a fair amount of damage to you and your economy. But those drops, a 3 medevac drop, and we'll say it's full of Marines for easier math. This would be 24 Marines, which is roughly 1,200 minerals, and then medevacs are 150, 100, so that's another 450, 300. So he's lost 300 gas, which is 1 minute of mining time on 2 bases, and also lost about 1650 mineral, which is roughly 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I apologize. 2 minutes mining time on 2 base at full saturation. So this has done a fair amount of economic damage to him to lose all this drops, or all this stuff in the drops. And he's also lost his 3rd. So we see a fairly scary defense. He's trying to transition into mech to counter our lings. This is a bit late. We see the infestors come out. Now, if we scout these tanks, the ideal engagement here would be For our infestors to throw out 1 or 2 infested Terrans over here to take the aggro of the tanks, and then to have our Lings move in. So we have another drop coming out from our Terran. Again, very little defense. We have some here, very badly positioned. He could just put the drop here. No defense here. So we'll see him drop. This is a good base, and just kind of unfortunate timing for him. So he sniped out our queen. They'll lose 1 medevac. He's going to kill all of these, and now he's going to lose that. Really, truly, though, he's put himself, all in all, a little bit behind with this drop, but he could put himself in good position with this. Were these drops a little less bad? And this also attests to the skill of Sumus Legio to really quickly turn around and be able to save this hatchery. So we're going to see these Hellions come in. They do have the blue flame upgrade, but with these brood lords, we are going to have a very easy time against this. 1 Thor has come out. This will be killed very quickly by our brood lords, and really this has become a tap win at this point. So this game will go very, very quickly in favor of the Zerg player, despite any drops that happen here. Another key to Overlord spread is drop detection, so this is an okay Overlord positioning. It would be better here, but we're kind of warding off these drops. The transition to Overlord, Ultralisk, is a decent idea. Of course it gets killed, but not really great because Marauders do too much. They really deal well against Ultralisk. And we see our Terran player losing another drop, these Brood Lords coming in. The Vikings are there, which is great, but they're not enough. Neither are the Marines. This will be cleaned up quickly, especially with friendly fire from our tanks. More cleaning. And at this point, this game is completely over. And this is, again, a tech victory because the macro of our Zerg player is very good this game. He managed to stay and defend several bases ahead of his opponent. His creep spread towards the end of the game was lacking. It's one thing to work on for him. But these tech transitions are very good. Just the last thing I'd like to talk about is when you transition into Broodlords. What you're asking for is a heavy transition into Vikings from our Terran. So, were he to have responded properly and really truly have about 10 to 12 Vikings out on the field, a further transition into Ultralisks denies the use of the Vikings. So this was a really smart play by Sumus Legio in that he's taken all of these Vikings that the Terran would have produced and making them essentially useless supply. So he can completely ignore them and not actually kill them, and just let this Terran player essentially have to max without about 10 to 20 supply worth of Marines or Marauders or tanks or whatever else he was building. So it's a very, very smart tech switch. The use of the Infestor in this game was great, as he saw there were massing units, whether it be Bio, whether it be Hellions, any kind of that heavy bunched massed unit. The Infestor works very well against because you can just throw your fungal growths and just kind of wait and let them die. So all in all, very, very strong game from Sumus Legio. Very good tech switching, good defense of his bases, and I think this is a great learning experience for our Zergs. I hope you've learned something.